Alright, today we're going to be working on, as you can tell, of course, inequalities. That's the name of the whole class. We'll be working on solving inequalities, just normal inequalities like those questions, and we'll be working on solving absolute inequalities as well, where there's an absolute value, and it's not an equation, it's an inequality. We'll be working as well on graphing inequalities and system of inequalities. So a group of things that we'll be covering today and all related to inequalities. Anything inequalities is done today. And we're going to start with the very basic, simple ones, solving an inequality. And that's very similar to just solving a normal equation. Well, let's also come and discuss the difference between an inequality and an equation. So the word equation refers to anything that has an equal sign in it. So x equals to 4, this is an equation. Or 3x plus 4 equals to 10, this is another equation. Or 4 bracket x minus 3 equals to 6 over 2, 7x minus 1. Still an equation, as long as there's an equal sign and variables. But on the other hand, an inequality is something that has the inequality signs, and the inequality signs are this is bigger than, smaller than, or bigger than or equal, or smaller than or equal. So for example, if you have something that's written like this, 3x plus 4 is less than or equals to 10, this is an inequality. So in order to solve an inequality, just like solving an equation, we move everything around the variable to the other side of the inequality sign in this case. They're saying which of the following represents a possible range of the values for n minus 12. So you see, you have to try and relate between this, what you're asked to find, and this, which is the part that you're given. في trick هنا صغيرة. So the negative 3 plus n, if I multiplied it by 4, it will become just like this one. It will become negative 12 plus 4n, which is 4n minus 12. So once you notice that, this should change the whole perspective for you. So let me again put it this way. Look at the inequality that's given, negative 3 plus n less than or equals to 25. Now what's wanted is 4n minus 12. Apparently, if I multiply this by 4, it will become negative 12 plus 4n. So this means that I have to multiply the other side as well by 4, and it will become 100. So apparently 4n minus 12 must be less than or equals to 100. So B must be the correct answer. Does that make sense or not? All right, type. Moving on to another inequality. Here he's asking which of the following numbers is not a solution. Not a solution, but it's a must to find the relation. Not always, by the way, but this is the easiest to be solved with in this case, in this question. And you'll see in other questions, we have to actually solve and find the solution, not just a relation between the given and the wanted. So if I needed to solve this first to actually find the solution and then I can find out which of those is not in the solution. In order to do that, I should put the x's on one side and the numbers on the other side. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to move this half x to the other side next to the 5 over 2x. And I'm going to move the 7 over 9 to this side next to the negative 1 over 3. So I'll have here negative 1 over 3 minus 7 over 9 bigger than 5 over 2x, and then the half went to the other side as negative half x. Now let's start calculating. First of all, these two have different denominators, which means I have to first make them with the same denominator, and I have to multiply here times 3 up and down, because when I multiply by 3, this will become negative 3 over 9, and this will remain as negative 7 over 9. So now they have the same denominator. As for this part, I can easily subtract because they already have the same denominator. I can put 5 minus 1, which is 4 over 2 x. Now, since these two have the same denominator, it's -3 minus 7, which is -10 over 9, bigger than 4 over 2, which will become 4 divided by 2 will become just 2x. Next, 2 should be removed and goes to the other side by division. So -10 over 9 لما أودي ال 2 بالdivision it will هو already في 9 تحت فال2 تروح تحت جنب ال 9 بالtimes, which means that this will become -10 over 18 bigger than x. Now divide by 2, divide by divide by 2 and divide by 2, this will become -5 over 9x. So x is less than -5 over 9. So which of those is not less than -5 over 9? Now with the calculator بقى على طول, -5 over 9 is equivalent to -0.555. So x is supposed to be less than -0.5. The 7 over 2 will become -3.5. Is this less than 0.55? Yes, it is. So this cannot be the answer because they're asking which of the following is not a solution. Then 5 over 2, which is 2.5. 3 over 2, 1.5. All of those are less than -0.55. So the only one that's not must be D because this is just 0.5 and 0.5 is bigger than -0.55. Does this make sense or not? Yes, yeah. لا مش بدل. لو كانت معموله تايمز كنت وديتها ديفايدد، بس هي ما كانتش معموله تايمز، هي كانت معموله بالبلس فعشان كده وديتها بالماينس. يعني الديبندز هي كانت بتعمل ايه؟ ال 7 over 9 دي مثلا هنا كانت بتعمل ايه next to the 5 over 2x؟ كانت بالبلس، فهتروح الناحيه الثانيه بالماينس. عشان كده ال 1 over 2x دي كلها كانت بتعمل ايه هنا؟ كانت ماينس حاجه بس هي كانت بوزيتيف، فراحت الناحيه الثانيه بالنيجاتيف. فاهمه الفكره؟ ايوه ده لو انا، ما هو ده لو انا هودي الهاف بس، انا ما وديتش الهاف لوحدها، انا وديت الهاف اكس كلها على بعضها، فما تروحش بالديفايدد لان الهاف اكس كلها مش تايمز حاجه، صح؟ دي كلها كده على بعضها تايمز حاجه، الهاف هي اللي تايمز الاكس، ماشي. ده لو انا كنت هشيل الهاف واوديها الناحيه الثانيه ساعتها كنت هوديها بالديفيجن. فاهمه؟ شور ها؟ طيب العفو يا حبيبتي. There is another way we can do this, especially if we have our calculators, where you can just substitute. يعني this is x and this is x. You can take your calculator right away and go as half and try. بدل ال x حط -7 over 2 minus 1 over 3 bigger than 7 over 9 plus 5 over 2. Again, instead of the x, I'll put -7 over 2. Now, when you calculate this, you're trying to find whether the inequality will be true or not. So on your calculator, just put the half again multiplied by -7 over 2 minus 1 over 3. That's -2.08. Now the other side, 7 over 9 plus 5 over 2 times -7 over 2. That's -7.97. Now, is it true that -2 is bigger than -7? Yes, it's true. So this is in the solution. So this could be a solution. while he's asking for which of the following is not a solution. So you'll keep trying them all out until you figure out one of the choices where the inequality is not true. That means it's not a solution. طيب, let's move to number 3. Over here, they're asking what is the greatest possible value for 3a plus 7? And you have an inequality right there. Now, when we're trying to solve this, I'll put the a's with each other and the numbers with the other side. So the negative 3a, let me change that color, plus 7, I'll just rewrite it for now here, 5a minus 17. I'll move the negative 3a to the other side and the negative 17 to this side. So I'll have here 7 plus 17 bigger than or equals 5a and then plus 3a, because the 3a was negative here, so it went to the other side as positive. 7 plus 17, that's 24. 5a plus 3a, that's 8a. So 8 goes to the other side by division. So a is less than or equals to 24 divided by 8, which means that a is less than or equals to 3. So a is less than or equals to 3. They want me to find the greatest possible value for this. لو أنا عايز أجيب أكبر value for this, then I have to use the biggest value for the a itself. يعني لازم أشوف إيه أكبر a ممكن تطلع لي وسبستيتيوت بيها. For example, here a is less than or equals to 3. Yes يا حبيبتي. So ليه هي؟ لا، ما هو انا وديت النيجاتيف 17 هي اللي راحت الناحيه الثانيه، فال7 الاول كانت بوزيتيف اهي زي ما هي، وبعدين النيجاتيف 17 راحت هنا بوزيتيف 17، فبقوا بلس بعض عادي. ايوه، انت بقى اللي عملتيه انك عملتي كده صح؟ ماشي. now انا برضو I would like to focus على حاجه في الكيس دي. in this case this is negative 8a bigger than or equals to negative 24. now when you divide now this is a negative number صح؟ لما يروح الناحيه الثانيه يروح بالديفيجن، هتبقى negative 24 divided by negative 8. مظبوط؟ now لما بعمل division بنيجاتيف number، لما بعمل division في الانيكواليتي برقم بالنيجاتيف، لا لازم افليب الساين دي. يعني دلوقتي هتبقى a less than or equals to، فعلا النيجاتيف هتشيل النيجاتيف و24 divided by 8 تبقى 3. So a is not bigger than or equals to 3. a is less than or equals to 3. فاهمة؟ Yes, so when I divide by a negative number لازم أفلip الميدل sign, so it becomes this way. 24, the positive 24 divided by positive 8, which means a is less than or equals to 3. So still the biggest possible value for a إنها تبقى ب 3. دي أكبر value ممكن. So I substitute ال 3 دي هنا مكان ال a. 3 times 3 plus 7, and that will give you 16, and that's your largest possible answer. Does that kind of make sense? ما الاثنين جابوا لك نفس الحاجه، انا عشان كده حبيت اوريكي اصلا الطريقه الثانيه، الطريقتين هم جابوا لك نفس. انيكواليتي سهله، ان انا اودي الاي الصغيره towards الاي الكبيره، او الفاريبل يعني اللي فيه coefficient صغير towards الكبير. So هنا كان عندي 5a on this side ونيجاتيف 3a on that side. It was better ان انا move النيجاتيف 3 to the other side عشان تفضل positive already الناحيه الثانيه، زي ما بالظبط عملت كده. if you can tell هنا لما جيت انا حركت الهاف اكس هي اللي وديتها الناحيه الثانيه. ليه؟ عشان هي الصغيره وال5 over 2 هي الكبيره، فلما تروح لهاف الناحيه الثانيه ويتعملوا ماينس بعض الانسر هتبقى بوزيتيف مش نيجاتيف، فمش هعمل قصه الفليبنج بتاع الانيكواليتي ساين. It's a very good question by the way. Does this make sense to you ولا لا؟ حلو قوي. most welcome يا. طيب number 4. علي you're good يا حبيبي. I know you've joined a bit late بس you're good so far يعني عارف تكاتش اب ولا حاسس الموضوع غريب؟ طيب now let's check number 4. بيقول لي 9 is not more than the sum of a number and x and 17 sorry. So 9 is not more than يعني 9 is not more يعني less than or equal, because لو أنا بقول لك you can't spend not more than 100, so your maximum is actually the 100 itself. You're supposed to be spending 100 or less. So if I say 9 is not more than something, the 9 itself is less than or equals to something. Now, less than or equals to what? To the sum. Sum means plus. Sum of what? A number معرفوش. I substitute an x and 17. So I should put here x and 17. Which of the following inequalities represents the statement above? It's right here, D. It's done. They used n instead of x, that's all. So I can use that still now. So all what I did here is literal translation. That's very similar to the algebraic expressions that we did a couple of classes ago. So this should be helpful by now. Are we good in this question ولا في أي مشاكل؟ Awesome. Now 5 مثلا, check this. The product of 7 and a number n. So the product means times 7 and n يعني 7n is no less than. So no less means it must be bigger than or equals to 91. So no less than means bigger than or equal. Which of the following inequalities is the right one? We're talking, of course, C in this case. Bardo number 6. Now this is different. Instead of giving you the inequality, they actually give you now in words, hatta, they give you the answers of it on a number line. So what we need to check is the black or the thick arrow here. Apparently we're talking about all the numbers that are bigger than or equal to what? What could be the value over here? So if you check, you can tell if this is 0 and this is 2, then this must be 1, this is -1, -2, -3, and this is -5 for sure. So what you can tell from this number line is that the number, must be bigger than or equals to the -5 itself. On another note, if I said that x is, for example, less than 4. How can I put this on a number line? So you go on a number line and you get to the number 4. And since it's only less than, من غير equal, then I put an open circle, not a shaded one, an open circle. And then x is less than, sorry, I've made a mistake here. N is actually less than or equals to -5. Since x here is less than 4, then I should go to the right side. This is everything that's less than 4. While the left side, what is, no, I'm sorry. I'm very sorry, I should go to the other side. I don't know why it's this one. X less than 4, then left side is smaller than, because here is the positive and here is the negative side. So as we're going to the right, this is getting bigger. As we're going to the left, this is getting smaller. In this case, because this is a shaded circle, then it must be bigger than or equal. So again, the bigger than or equal, less than or equal, will have a shaded circle. While less than or bigger than only will have an open circle. So the answer for this one is C as well. There are other types of inequalities that we call compound inequalities, where there is more than one inequality on the same number line, or they share the same solutions. So they're asking here, which of the following numbers is not a solution to this inequality or this one? So there are two inequalities. So let's solve both of them. First of all, زي دي الحتة اللي احنا كنا بنقول عليها يا كارلا, بصي I can move the negative n to this side عشان أخليها positive ومove ال negative 2 to this side عشان أخليها positive برضه. فيبقى عندي 3 plus 2 less than positive n, which means 5 is less than n. ادي اول inequality. Now الثانية I'll move هنا دلوقتي ال 3 to the other side, so I'll have 2n less than or equals to negative 1 minus 3, which means 2n is less than or equals to negative 4, which means n is less than or equals to negative 4 divided by 2, which means n is less than or equals to negative 2. So now I have two solutions. Now I would suggest that you draw a number line and put the numbers on it. Of course, the 5 is on the right side because it's bigger than the negative 2, which should be on the left side. They're saying n is less than or equals to 2. So it's because it's less than or equal, I should put the shaded sign, shaded circle. Less than, then we're talking everything to the left side. While if we're talking about the other one, the red one, n here is bigger than 5. So I should go at the 5 and put an open circle because it's not or equal, it's just bigger than. And since it's bigger, then I go to the right side. So now my answers are on both sides this way. Any number that's bigger than 5 is part of the solution. Any number that's less than negative 2 is part of the solution. But any number in between this zone is not a solution. So any number that's between negative 2 and 5, that's not a solution. So which of the following is not a solution? It's definitely the 2. Because this is the only number that's actually between negative 2 and 5, while negative 6 is smaller than negative 2. It's right here. Negative 2 is this negative 2 itself, and it's shaded. The 6 is bigger than the 5. So the only number that lies in the no zone is the positive 2. Does this make sense? Are we good? I'll show you another one. Positive. Yes طبعا عشان ما اضطرش اعمل divided بالنيجاتيف. لما بضطر اعمل divide بالنيجاتيف بس كل اللي محتاج افتكره ان انا هفليب الساين. That's all. Exactly. صح. Most welcome. Here's another compound one, but here's they're asking for the solution, not a solution. They're asking for a solution. So I'll solve the first one. Here's 5w plus 7 bigger than 2. I'll move the 7 to the other side. I'll have 5w bigger than 2 minus 7, which is negative 5. I'll then move the 5 to the other side by division. So I'll have w bigger than negative 5 divided by 5, which means w is bigger than negative 1. On the other side, I'll start solving this one where I leave the 6w minus 15 for now as it is, and I'll distribute this 3 on the bracket. So I'll have the negative 3 plus 3w right there. I will then move the smaller coefficient to the bigger one. So it will be 6w minus 3w, and then I'll move this negative 15 to the other side, less than or equals to the negative 3 as it is, and then plus 15, which went to this side recently. Now 6 minus 3 will become 3w, and negative 3 plus 15 is just 12. I'll move the 3 to the other side by division. So 12 divided by 3 got me 4. Which means w should be less than or equals to 4, and at the same time bigger than negative 1. So draw the number line. Start putting the solutions for each part. Let's work for the first part. The negative 1 goes first. Because it's bigger than without the equal, then it's an open circle. Because it's bigger than, so it goes to the right side. Now let's work on the other one. W is less than or equals to 4. So I'll put here a number 4. It's less than or equal, so the circle should be shaded. While it should be less than, so we're going to the left side over here. So apparently any number in this zone is the solution. So any number between -1 and 4, that's a solution. So which of those is between -1 and 4? It's just the 2 as well, because the -1 itself does not exist. It's an open circle. The 5 is bigger than the 4. The 8 is also bigger than the 4. So that's the only one that works. Does that make sense? Awesome. Here's one where they put the number line على طول for you. So this is even easier. The first part is kind of solved, but with a tiny modification here. This is -x less than or equals to 5. Now I can't leave this negative sign here, so I have to move it to the other side by division. Because this is considered -1 times x, so it goes to the other side as 5 divided by -1. When I divide by negative, we said we have to flip this middle sign. So now it has to look the other way around. So x is actually bigger than or equals to -5. That's the first part. Now, the other part on the other side, that is just a normal inequality where I have to move the x's on the same side and the numbers on the other. And we said we move the smaller coefficient of the x towards the bigger one. And I'll move this one towards the other side. The 7 never moved, so I'll write it first, and then the 1 went to the other side with the subtraction. The inequality sign now remains, and the x as well never moved, so it goes first. And then the negative half, when it went to the other side, it goes as positive half. 7 minus 1 would be 6. Then now 1 plus half is 3 over 2x. The 2 would go to the other side by multiplication, so that would become 12. Then 3x, and then the 3 would go to the other side by division, so that would become 4. So x is actually less than 4. So here are the two parts. X is less than 4 and at the same time bigger than or equals to the -5. So look at the graphs. I'm looking at the parts where there's -5 with a shaded circle. So this one has a shaded circle, this one has a shaded circle, this one has a shaded circle. Apparently x is bigger than 5, so this C does not work because this is the smaller part. And at the same time, B does not work because the 5 is not shown anywhere. So the only one that works is D, definitely, because the 4 as well is written here, and it's with an open circle, and it's less than the 4, so everything before that. Does this make sense? Awesome. طيب. Let me ask you guys to try out, please, the second form right away. There's one thing, though, before we start solving this one, which is the absolute inequalities. Now, I'd like to show you how these are solved. They're pretty easy. Very easy, by the way. And they're very similar to the inequalities, the normal inequalities, so it should always make sense. I'm sorry about the disruption, though. Okay. So imagine if I have an inequality that goes like this, x minus 3 in an absolute, bigger than 4. I'm sorry, let's not take bigger than, let's take it as smaller. I'm sorry, I have to get this phone, give me a second. So imagine we have x minus 3 in an absolute less than 4. How do we solve this one? So what we do is the following. We never ever change what's inside the absolute. We change the outside only. So we will leave the x minus 3 now, but without the absolute signs. And we'll put the less than 4 as it is right now. And then we'll switch this sign and put it here. Sorry, I'll put it here. Yani this sign and move it another one here. And then instead of the 4, I'll put here -4 with the opposite sign. It works fine now, right? Good. So again, what we did is the following. We never ever change what's inside the absolute. On the other hand, we leave this one as it is without the absolute signs. We write this part as it is, but the only new thing is that we put the same sign over here, and then instead of this +4, we put the opposite sign, -4. And then we start solving normally. How do we start to continue solving? We're supposed to move the -3 to the other side, but here we have two sides, so I'll move it to both sides. يعني I'll put the -4 as it is, +3 here, and +3 there. So -3 +3 هنا و +3 هنا. -4 plus 3 became -1. 4 plus 3 became 7. So that's it. X is between -1 and 7. X is any number that's bigger than -1 and at the same time less than 7. On a number line, it would look like this. Does that make sense?
Yes, yes.
So look at that. This one, for example. 2x minus 5 bigger than 3. What we're going to do is we're going to write everything as it is. 2x minus 5 bigger than 3. But on the other side, we're going to repeat the same sign again, and now -3. We're going to move the -5 to both sides. So it becomes -3 plus 5, and then the 2x, and then 3 plus 5. That would get me -3 plus 5 is just a 2, and then the 2x, and then 3 plus 5, that's 8. The 2 then goes to the other side, which are both sides now, by division. So it becomes 2 over 2, and then x, and then 8 over 2, which then leads me to 1 bigger than x, and then x is bigger than 4. Now concentrate on this one really well, because in order to put this on a number line, you'll realize this is weird. How can x be, it's not between 4 and 1, it's not. Because here x is bigger than 4, so I'll go at the 4 and I'll put an open circle, and it's bigger, so it's everything here. And this one, x is less than 1, so I'll get at x equals 1, and I'll open a circle and I'll go to everything on the left side. So actually, the answers are not everything between 1 and 4, it's the opposite. It's everything bigger than 4 and everything less than the 1. Does this make sense? Let's try something بقى دلوقتي to solve. I'd like you please to try 4-2, compound an absolute value. We've already solved a couple of them, so I think you should be able to solve the rest. These are a total of 8 questions. They have inequalities as compound inequalities, and if you're capable of solving the compound, it means you're definitely capable of solving the simple ones. So if you don't mind, head to Google Classroom and work on 4-2, composite and inequalities.
مستر ممكن تقول بس الأنسرز الأولانية اللي احنا حليناها؟
أبعد ده الأول، حاضر.
عشان